The Black Stream Case, Part 2, The Silent Witness. I thought it was over. The boy was dead, the killer had been caught, and the quiet village of Oakshott had begun to breathe again. But Poirot was not satisfied. We were sitting once again on the balcony of the inn, the same chairs, the same tea, the same silence of the countryside. Yet something had changed. Poirot hadn't touched his tea. That alone was enough to worry me. "Something is wrong, my friend?" I asked. He didn't look at me. His eyes were fixed on the horizon. "Everything is wrong, Hastings," he finally turned. "That case, it is too perfect." I frowned. Perfect? A boy died, another confessed. What more is there? Poirot leaned forward slightly. "Confessions, my dear Hastings, are often the most elegant lies." The next morning we returned to the forest. The Black Stream looked the same, quiet, dark, still hiding its secrets. Poirot walked slowly, carefully, like a man reading invisible words written on the ground. Then he stopped. Here it was, the same spot where George had fallen into the water. "What are we looking for?" I asked. Poirot pointed to the mud. "Absence." I blinked. "Absence?" "Yes, something that should be here, but is not." He crouched down. A boy falls into the water. Others panic. They run. They move. They struggle. He looked up at me. "So, where are the footprints?" I felt a chill. There were marks, yes, but not enough. Not chaotic, not desperate. Too clean, too controlled. Someone, Poirot whispered, was not panicking. We went back to the station. Inspector Bradley looked confused. "But we already have the killer." Poirot shook his head gently. "No, Inspector, you have a participant." And then Poirot asked for something strange, the camera. We watched the footage again, every second, every movement, every expression. And this time, Poirot wasn't watching the victim, he was watching the others. "Stop." The screen froze. It was a moment just before the fight. George was laughing awkwardly. Sam looked nervous. Millie looked uncomfortable. Rocky angry. Clyde distant. And Marty smiling. "Play it," Poirot said softly. The argument began. Words, insults, pain. Clyde snapped. Rocky moved. Chaos. And then George fell. Pause. Poirot stood up slowly. Again. We watched it again and again. And then I saw it. Marty didn't react. Not immediately. Not like the others. No shock. No movement. Just watching. My heart started racing. "Poirot?" He nodded. "Yes, Hastings." He knew. But Poirot raised a finger. More than that, he was waiting. The room went silent. Inspector Bradley leaned forward. Waiting for what? Poirot turned toward him. For the moment George would fall. "But that's impossible," the inspector said. Poirot smiled faintly. "Is it?" He pointed at the screen. "Look carefully. Just before George is pushed, Marty steps back. Not away from danger," Poirot's voice dropped, "but away from the edge. And a man does not step away from danger unless he knows exactly where it will be." No one spoke that night. Marty was brought in again. This time he didn't look calm. Poirot sat across from him. "No games now, Marty." Marty said nothing. Poirot leaned forward. "You didn't just cover the crime." A pause. "You designed it." Marty's eyes flickered just for a second, but Poirot saw it. "You knew George would react. You knew Clyde was unstable, Rocky was angry, and all you had to do was push the right words." Marty's voice came out low. "You can't prove that." Poirot nodded. "You are right. I cannot prove intention." Then he leaned closer. "But I can prove control." He placed a paper on the table. "Your voice, the recording. You were not afraid because everything was going according to your plan." Silence. And then Marty smiled. Not nervous, not defensive, cold. "I didn't touch him," he said. Poirot nodded slowly. "No, you didn't need to." That was the moment I understood. Some killers don't push. They don't strike. They don't get their hands dirty. They simply arrange the fall. Later that night, as we sat once more under the fading light of the countryside, I asked, "Will he be punished?" Poirot stared into the distance. "The law may struggle," he sighed, "but truth, Hastings, truth always leaves a mark." and sometimes that mark is worse than any prison. To be continued.